Your default P&L or OCI? P&L. Yeah, your default is fair value through profit and loss. It is only fair value through OCI for an equity investment if you make an election. Correct! If you make an irrevocable election. If there is an irrevocable election, at the inception, at the beginning. So if the cash flow test is not met, then you've got an equity investment. If the cash flow test is not met, then you've got an equity investment. Now the idea with an equity investment is that it must be at fair value. Because it must be at fair value, your default is at fair value through P&L. You can have it at fair value through OCI, but you only have it if there's an irrevocable election made. Irrevocable means you can't change your mind. Election means there's a choice. And you would have to make that election at the very beginning of the life, at the very beginning. Now, the reason why you would make the election is not specified in the standard, but the reason why you would make the election is to avoid fluctuating profits. If you buy an investment which you're looking to hold for 5 or 10 years, in some years, hopefully, the asset will go up in value, but in some years, it will go down in value. And if you are posting the gains and losses to the P&L, your profitability for your business is going to go on that roller coaster ride. And what you might want to be telling your shareholders is basically, my profits are my operating profits, my stable profits, my core profits, and I don't want them polluted by the roller coaster ride of the stock market. So forward planning from a financial director's point of view might want to make this election. It might be a sensible election to make, yeah, if you want to avoid fluctuating profits. Yeah? But if you're confident that the value of your asset is just going to go up and up and up and up, oh well, just leave it as fair value through P&L. I need to apply this to the question. Because although I have read yellow, and although yellow is only for 6 marks or so, I've kind of gone, not over the top, yeah, possibly over the top. I've gone into that detail of, oh, don't forget, this is what you need to know. So let's have a look at some of the issues, particularly in the question. These assets are managed with a view to collecting the cash flow interest and then the nominal cash flow at the end of the contract. some of the assets in the portfolio attract interest at market rate. Others carry a nominal rate of interest, while others are zero coupon bonds to be redeemed at a premium. That's it. That's our first set. Our zero coupon bonds being held to maturity. I've now got to apply the cash flow test. Thinking about the cash flow test, do these contracts contain contractual amounts, specified dates, where there is a repayment of the principal and interest compensating me? Is the cash flow test met, yes or no? Yes, it is met. So the cash flow test is met. The cash flow test is met. What is the business model? So therefore it's a debt instrument. What is the business model? The business model is to... Is there any suggestion of trading? No. So the business model is to hold, passive, boring, long-term, not interested in fair value. So therefore the conclusion is these will be accounted for at amortized cost. In other words, you recognize the effective rate of interest. You recognize the effective rate of interest in the P&L. Not the coupon rate, but the effective rate of interest. Not 0%, but the effective rate of interest. Convertible loans. Convertible loans. Is the cash flow test met for convertible loans? Interesting question. Now the answer to that question is no, it's not. Because you're not getting back enough money. The existence of the equity instrument depresses the amount of money. So you're not being compensated for the interest. You're not getting enough money back. The cash flow test is not met. You're not being compensated for the loan. You're not getting all of your money back in effect because there is an equity element. Now, from the liability perspective, from the issuer perspective, they get involved in split equity accounting. But that doesn't happen from the point of view of the investor. From the point of view of the investor, it either has to be debt or equity. So the cash flow test is not met. So for convertible loans, if you invest in convertible loans, you are effectively investing in an equity instrument. So therefore, it is an equity instrument. Therefore, it is equity, and therefore, it must be at fair value, and therefore, the default is fair value through P&L, because there is no mention of an irrevocable election being made. If it's fair value through P&L, then at every year end it must be at fair value. And funnily enough, the gain or loss will go to P&L. The gain or loss will go to P&L. Last, not last for the day, last for the question, we have the accounting mismatch story. A debenture loan asset has similar characteristics to debenture loan liabilities, which are carried at fair value, and they are concerned. So, you borrowed some money, and those loans are at fair value. You've invested some money, and they're worried about an accounting mismatch. I have a solution. I can tell you what the solution is. I wonder if anybody knows the solution, though, before I tell you. What do I down to you? Yeah, fair value option. Yeah, there's a fair value option. When you have a liability, and when you have a financial liability, and when you have a financial asset, or can be investment property, and they're both looked at together, it would be perhaps sensible to have them both at fair value. So if they both go up or they both go down, you're avoiding an accounting mismatch. So we use here a fair value option. We use here a fair value option. So, yeah, despite the cash flow test being met, and the business model being to hold, these assets can be fair value through profit and loss, i.e. the fair value option, if it avoids an accounting mismatch, i.e. there are financial liabilities also at fair value through profit and loss, and they are judged as one. They're managed as one. So you've got a reliable measure. You have to have a reliable measure. Of course you've got to have a reliable measure, otherwise you can't have it at fair value. But for an accounting, to avoid an accounting mismatch, we use a fair value option. But you have to have both assets and liabilities that you're pairing together. It's a form of hedging. It's a simple form of hedging. Right. I promise this is the last question.